tell you what, mate, we don't half pick the weather to come out for a day's fishing, don't we?
Yeah, it's not the best, but I don't know, I reckon we've got a good chance. We'll give it a go.
We've picked the venue accordingly. We've come to Blasford Hill in Essex. There are a lot of carp in here. It's not very big, so whatever happens, we're not going to be too far away from them.
Exactly that.
What I really want to know is how you use the Goo. I mean, I use it all the time. I use it on my pop-ups, might put it on the outside of some bags, I use it on my zigs, but you've been using it a lot longer than me. How does it fit into your fishing?
Yeah, so obviously a lot of people know that a big bulk of my fishing is matches. First time I see the Goo and used it was like 10 years ago now in South Africa. When you was fishing next to guys that was using it and we had never seen it at that time, the success rate was like different class. And from then onwards I've used it I've used it for 10 years now. We make some stick mixes with it, so you make like really gooed up little stick mixes, so it's constantly leaking off. And another real good thing that we use a lot in matches, solid bags are like a brilliant method, and actually like getting the solid bag and injecting the Goo straight into
some of the Supremes, the really thin ones,
especially the Supremes. Yeah, but for anyone that hasn't used the Goo, until you try it, you'll soon realise that you need to be using it a lot more.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. We're going to find out who's going where and see if we can put a fish on the bank. So Bill, heads or tails?
Heads.
Tails it is, so I get to choose.
No pressure.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to go in here. So here or the one next door to give me access sort of round the back of that island almost. Okay. And that gives you that way.
No worries.
Yeah, good luck, mate.
Yeah.
But you're in my swim. Off it.
See you in a bit.
Now, I've not done a lot of fishing with Billy over in the UK. In fact, what I've actually done is witnessed him more in action. I was out in Italy covering the World Champs, who was fishing as always with Jamie. And I've got to say the level of dedication and preparation that these boys go to is just next level. I remember going down to see Bill about halfway into the match. They'd had virtually no sleep, and I've had a look at what he's already got prepared, and there was quite literally a bucket full of not only solid bags ready to go, but every single one of them has got a rig in place with a leg core leader tied to it as well. But it sort of didn't end there. I pride myself on being prepared to go fishing for a night in the fact that if you open up my rig safe, there's always rigs ready to go, sometimes even with baits on the hook, depending on what I'm using. He had 3 rig safes completely brimming with rigs, and whilst they didn't have hook baits on, every single one was primed and ready to go. And you might have done it, I certainly have. I've sat at home of a night when the missus is watching the telly, something I don't want to watch, and I'll sit and tie 3 or 4 rigs up. He must have had 100 rigs ready to go, and trust me, whilst that is the absolute top level of preparation, if you can put a bit of that into your own angling and get just a few rigs ready to go, it will 100% put more fish on the bank. That's why these boys are at the top of their game.
There you go, guys.
Thank you, mate. Well, they're out there, mate. The rods are fishing. I've got to say, I feel quietly confident. But I have got to ask you.
Nothing wrong with the picture.
Do you always fish such tight lines?
Yeah, fairly tight at the minute. So, as a general rule, I normally fish tight lines. I reckon 90% of my fishing is tight lines.
Really?
Like, I've realised now that I just got to a point where I feel if you're going to get a bite, you're going to get a bite if it's tight lines or slack. That's only my opinion. I'm not saying it's the right thing.
It's hard, mate. Carp fishing, there's no hard and fast rules. For me, I feel if I can fish slack, I'm putting things in my favour a little bit more percentages, but I can't argue what you catch.
I used to fish slack lines, but now I'm
happy
more than happy
that.
to fish tight lines.
It's not an OCD thing then. It's not because you think one slack, you're bobbing.
No, definitely not, for sure. And to be honest, with today, obviously winter, I mean, it's not going to be easy fishing for both of us.
No.
It's with that way you can like fish for liners as well.
Yeah,
so
I do. I totally agree with that.
The reason I love solid bag fishing so much is that they're just so versatile. It doesn't matter if you're syndicate fishing, whether it be myself in a match, because the reason is you can prepare them at home, and even like today in the winter, you haven't got to sit there and think, oh, like your hands are cold and you've got to form a bag. It's just this quick, easy case of loop to loop. You can cast them out and within minutes you're fishing. Even if you see a showing fish, it's an ideal situation. You can put a solid straight on it and you're happy. You've got that parcel of bait there, hopefully something to draw the fish down to, and you get a bite. When preparing a solid bag, I always opt for the extra small solid bags. In my eyes, these are the perfect bags for getting a quick bite. It's just enough there to get a parcel of bait and draw the fish in. I've probably put 1/2 inch of pellet on the bottom, then lower my hook bait into it. I'm a little bit anal and I make sure that the hook is sitting directly flat on the bottom so I can actually physically see it and that the hook bait isn't actually tangled around the hook as such. Then the next bit, some more pellets go in. Again, these must be small micro pellets is what I prefer because it makes you can actually compact the bag more. Then after that the lead will go in. This would normally be either a 3 or 3.5 ounce inline. And then from there I added some more pellets on top to compact it down. And I don't actually use PVA tape, I just do like the lick and twist. So this will be a case of really working the bag, then twisting it, getting all the air out of it, licking and sticking it round a PVA solid bag stem onto about a foot length of lead core, which will have a loop. So this is acting as my loop to loop changeover. And then it'll be a case of compacting all the air out, really working the bag, and then licking and sticking the corners. This gives it more aerodynamic for casting. Last of all, before casting out, for added attraction, I had the Pineapple Supreme, which is injected into my solid bag. Funny enough, this was used a few years ago when we won the World Champs in Spain, and I for sure definitely felt that's the reason we was getting extra quicker bites than the other countries, and the Pineapple Supreme was the one that did it for us. And I'm pretty sure today this will be my edge to beat Spooner. It's the one I was just saying to Lewis that I feel like I need to recast. And look what it's on, it's solid, what you feel.
Get in it.
Probably the smallest fish in the gaff.
Well done, guys.
Well, there's the deadly solid bag that I always pretty much swear by, and it was, to be honest, I've only got the one rod on a solid, and I mentioned to you earlier about I reckon that Pineapple Supreme is the one, and well, yeah, that's the solid. Injected with Pineapple Supreme, and yeah, to be fair, obviously it's mega cold tonight. It's definitely not the best conditions, and it's not the biggest fish, but one that I'm more than happy with.
0 degrees, it is Baltic, and you've just nicked one, so.
Yeah, to be honest, it's I wouldn't mind it if it was a bit bigger, but in these weather conditions, I'm definitely not going to grumble with that.
Mate, I'll take one that size, but your hands look freezing, I'm freezing, my sleeping bag's cooling. I'll leave you with that, mate. Well done,
Yeah.
Bill.
Cheers, mate. And there it is, second bite of the night. It's absolutely freezing now. It's probably around -2, I think, at the moment. Early hours of the morning, I managed to have 2 fish, both fall into the solid bag approach. Funny enough, I've only got 1 rod on it, and that's done both bites so far. I'm sure it's that Pineapple Supreme Goo pulling them down to the rig and nailed this little beauty.